Okay, so in this video, I'd like to talk about why I used to live in Thailand for multiple years and why I really loved living in Thailand for many years. And basically, why you should consider living in Thailand. To start off, I'd like to start with one of the more important things for most people, and that's the living expenses in Thailand. So in Thailand, you can really show up no matter really how much money you're making and really get something going. So you can rent an apartment for as little as $100 a month. That's actually quite okay and livable, which it would be really surprising to most people. But in places, especially like north of Thailand, around Chiang Mai, you can actually do this. Just a studio apartment, nothing too fancy, but it gets the job done. However, the bigger thing, and what's more important to me, and I think most people, is the quality you can get at some of the apartments for a price. So if you're coming from Western countries, Europe, US, Canada, or Australia, places like this, Anglo countries, the prices in Thailand are very, very good for accommodation, and you'd be shocked at the quality. So the quality, oftentimes you'll have a small gym, a pool, and it overall be quite nice in the condos. So the living expenses can actually be really low in Thailand, as well as you can get pretty decent quality for the price, at least compared to Western and Anglo-speaking countries. And the food is also very cheap in Thailand. So if you don't really mind eating, let's just say, not the healthiest of foods, you can eat for $1 a meal. Like, it's very cheap. However, if you want to eat higher quality, it's not too much more expensive. So if you don't mind the taste of local Thai food, there's a lot of restaurants that actually aren't that unhealthy. I eat at a lot of the J restaurants. They're like Buddhist vegetarian restaurants in Thailand. And a lot of the time you can only pay, I don't know, around 40 baht up to 80 baht, depending on if you're in like Chiang Mai or Phuket or Bangkok, but around that range. So between about $1 and $3 for a meal or a big plate of food. And if they don't use too much oil, they have tons of fresh vegetables, and it's actually pretty healthy, pretty okay. So the living expenses there aren't too expensive. And of course, the other thing I'll talk about later is they have lots of other healthy food options that are available that aren't that outrageously priced. Things like salads, grilled food, all sorts of stuff like this, as well as delivered food. So yeah, the living expenses in Thailand are relatively low. However, over the last few years, since I started living there, it's really, like, the living expenses have increased quite a bit. But that's pretty much everywhere in the world. Everywhere's experienced inflation over the last few years. So yeah, it didn't affect Thailand in 2020, 2021, but it has started to affect Thailand in the last couple of years. So that's just something to keep in mind if you watch any other YouTube videos about living expenses in Thailand, like apartment tours and stuff like this. You might want to bump those prices up a little bit because, well, inflation, as well as they have a bit more tourists coming from nearby countries that are inflating a lot of the prices a bit. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. But let's move on to the lifestyle in Thailand. So the lifestyle in Thailand, it's very conducive for work and being productive. There are, like, obviously, if you want, you can do what I'd say degenerate activity. You can go drinking, you can go partying, you can do all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of variety in Thailand, so you can kind of, almost everyone can find their little niche where they can enjoy life. But it's very conducive also for work and being productive, building a business, things like this. But the lifestyle overall, there's gyms everywhere throughout all of the country that you can go to on a daily basis if you want, like pay day by day, or you can go monthly. They're really all over the country, and I mean that truly. Like, I've been to all these small towns in Thailand, tons of them. I cycled all the way from Phuket to Chiang Mai before, and every town pretty much has a gym. You can go walk in, pay between $1, $2, $3, and get a day pass. They have nicer gyms, of course, that do restrict by the month in Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, but these are really more high-class gyms, ones with air conditioning, sauna, very new, good equipment and trainers. I went to one of those in Chiang Mai quite a bit, and it was fantastic as well. I think it was around 1,400 baht a month, so around $30 a month, and it had sauna, gym, yoga classes, all sorts of stuff like that, and of course air conditioning, and very convenient location. But anyhow, the lifestyle in Thailand can actually be really nice. The only issue to me is it oftentimes, due to the weather, unless you're really a fan of heat, I don't personally mind it too much because I don't know, riding a bicycle, I used to ride a bicycle everywhere I went in Thailand, so you get all the fresh air in your face, you're, let's just say, not wearing too thick of clothes, so you feel fresh. And hiking, I don't really mind the heat, so yeah. The only issue there though in Thailand with the lifestyle is the heat. So with that, you will kind of be pushed to go indoors a lot of the time as well as to malls. So if you don't really like the indoors or malls, it can get to you if you are not a fan of the heat. So over many, many years, when I first showed up to Thailand, I absolutely loved the weather. It was fantastic, especially the rainy season. It was just beautiful. It was ideal for me. Recently, I've started to prefer more cooler weather and get kind of bored of just having heat all year round. So that's just something to keep in mind. If it's not a concern for you, enjoy. Next up, and one of the more important things for me personally about Thailand and why I liked it was the access to food you have in Thailand. So you can just pick up your phone, order Grab, and you can get really good food delivered, really healthy food as well, for less than 300 baht, 400 baht, at the very most. Even if you're eating from a really fancy restaurant that uses high quality ingredients, it's not going to really be more than that. You can even order food for as little as, I don't know, 150 baht, 120 baht, $4 or $5, something like that. So you have a lot of access to goods through ordering food, as well as just generally you have all kinds of foreign food there in Thailand. You can get basically any cuisine you can think of in Thailand. The only exception would be like, okay, you're gonna miss out on like African cuisine unless you're in Bangkok, but like most people aren't eating too much African cuisine. But you can actually get it in Bangkok. They got Ethiopian restaurants and stuff like this. So the access to different types of food in Thailand is very high. You can get tons of imported foods, imported products, as well as they grow plenty of fruits and vegetables, much more than any other countries. So really the access to food in Thailand is one of the best in the world. So yeah, it's one of the reasons I like Thailand a lot before. And moving on to the next point would be, I guess, nature. Nature in Thailand is, okay, nature in Bangkok is terrible. I'm just going to be upfront with you. In Bangkok, you got a couple parks, that's about it. Other than that, you don't really have much nature. So if you're someone who likes nature like me, maybe don't stay in Bangkok too much. However, other cities like Chiang Mai, especially in the north, most of the cities in the north actually, they have very good nature. In the south, it's a bit of a mixed bag. You got some good nature, you got some just okay stuff. It depends on the area. But overall, Thailand's nature is above average in my opinion. The only issue is, once again, the heat. So if you're not a fan of the heat, or it bothers you a lot, then Thailand, it might not be the right place for you to stay long term. It's a great place to still visit in like October, November, December. This is when it's not so hot. Especially in the north, it actually gets quite cool. Like living there a few years, I would end up wearing a jacket during this time of year. It might sound insane to you because you're gonna probably look at the weather reports and be like, well, it was like 20 degrees at night, 20 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Why is this guy wearing a jacket there at that time? But it is what it is. I lived there many years. That's cold weather there. So yeah. Anyhow, let's move on to the next point. Well, you know, not quite yet. The nature I want to explain, like they got lots of mountains in the north. So Chiang Mai is one of the best cities for nature I've been in and lived in. You got a mountain right at your doorstep, basically. Within 10, 20-minute bicycle or motorbike ride, you can be there. At the very most. You can even live basically on the foot of the mountain, and they have trails starting, I don't know, a few minutes from your house sometimes. So it's very convenient for nature in that regard. They got some hot springs up there as well. They got like big lakes and stuff. And just generally the countryside is very nice. Like I said before, I ride a bike in Thailand usually. Riding a bike in Thailand is just sublime. It's one of the best places in the world to ride a bike in my opinion. People think it's unsafe for some reason, but it's not really that unsafe. I don't know, it's not very unsafe. I didn't really have any major issues bicycling, especially in the countryside. Like I said, I bicycled from Phuket to Chiang Mai, and I had no accidents, no issues, no close calls, nothing like that the entire time. I had maybe one flat tire at the end of the bike ride when I was almost in Chiang Mai already, but that's because the tires were quite worn out. So the roads are pretty clean too, so it's really good for nature and outdoor activities, running, bicycling, hiking, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, but now to actually move on to the next point, it would be tax. So tax in Thailand, things are changing a bit right now, so it's a bit uncertain, so you might want to check up on this if you're watching this in the future. But the tax situation in Thailand over the last few years was pretty much, you could be a resident there on a student visa or elite visa or whatever you really prefer, or just doing tourist border visa runs, and more or less live there for quite some time and not really concern yourself with your tax situation whatsoever. So now they're changing the taxes quite a bit. However, it still seems like they're going to be holding on to a resident-based or a earned in Thailand taxation system. So if you're not making money in Thailand, but you're making money by working online for customers outside of Thailand, for a business that's outside of Thailand, as a citizen that's not Thai, you most likely will not have to be paying taxes in Thailand. So this is very advantageous for many people, many countries around the world, like people from certain countries can really benefit from this a lot. So yeah, Thailand's really good from a tax perspective over the last few years. It's getting a little worse moving forward. However, it still seems better than most countries and clearer than most countries. Yeah, moving forward, it seems like you might have to pay tax on money you remit into Thailand if you have like a Thai bank or something like this. But overall, this won't affect most people, even if they decide to stay in Thailand quite a bit. So overall, the tax situation is quite good. But once again, you should check up on this because they are changing the tax situation right now quite a bit. And they still haven't completely outlined the changes. So I would check into this again if it's important to you. So the next thing would be the social aspects in Thailand. So like I said before, Thailand has a lot of variety in terms of things you can do. And like if you want to be a degenerate, you can find people who share those values, to say the least. You have a lot of different activities and social environments, social people to interact with. There's a lot of groups. So personally, I chose more of like health, fitness, building a business, entrepreneurship type route. So that's why I especially enjoy Chiang Mai, but also a little bit of Bangkok. And anyhow, there's tons of groups you can meet up with. There's tons of like co-working spaces, coffee shops, things like this that you can really kind of build a small community around. There is let's just say quite a bit of grifters who aren't actually making money and will try to like snake in and try to pitch you some garbage, try to sell you something at some of the co-working spaces and coffee shops. But overall, it's pretty good. There's tons of them. You can really find like a place to go every day, a little small community. So that's quite nice in Thailand, but also there's a lot of meetup groups. So if you want to meet up with people who are into health, fitness, whatever, there's absolutely tons of it. Every city in Thailand has groups you can meet up with like this, and yeah, they're very friendly. They go on like morning runs together or bicycle trips together, and it's just really allows you to really get a nice friend group or community sort of going right off the bat, even if you're kind of new to Thailand. There's also a lot of hiking groups. So there's one in Chiang Mai I used to go to a couple of times a month. They would host an event every single weekend, sometimes 2 events where they'd go hiking together. And like these sort of things are very nice, as well as I ended up finding a few different friends there where I'd go on morning runs with and cycle trips, different things like this. And it was just, these social aspects in Thailand are very nice. You got lots of variety, you got lots of different people, and a lot of people doing really good stuff. So yeah, these social aspects are some of the best in the world in terms of like being a foreigner, not living in a English speaking country. I'd say it's actually better than the social aspects in Anglo countries if you're someone who speaks English. Like I honestly feel like Thailand has a better and more healthy social environment in places like the US or Australia. I won't get into all that. Let's just move on though. So, and the last thing I'd like to talk about, I'd like to stress once again the healthy food options in Thailand. It's one of the biggest advantages Thailand has. You can be throughout the entire country and order pretty much healthy grilled food. If you want salads, you can get that sort of stuff. If you want grilled meats, you can get that. If you want vegetarian and vegan food, you can get that. Like, you have tons of options, and you can oftentimes even put in things and like absurd requests. Like, to me, I don't really like eating oil, so I can put in, oh, please no oil ka, and they will give me no oil. So it's quite good with that. They'll cook with no oil is what I mean. So that's really nice, and most countries won't do this. If you're ordering on like a food delivery app, Grab, something like this, Uber Eats type thing, as well as going to the restaurant in person. So it's just, we have tons of healthy food options all over the place, and it's just really, really convenient to eat healthy without ever actually cooking for yourself. So that's one of the big things of Thailand that just makes it really convenient. You, especially as a single person, if you're single, you don't have to cook all your meals like you do in a lot of other countries. So yeah, that's, I guess, going to be all for this video. If you have any thoughts or questions regarding Thailand, feel free to leave those down below, because like I said, I lived in Thailand around I don't know, 3 years almost, or 2 years, I don't know, something like that. I did a Muay Thai education visa there for a year. I did many tourist visas as well. I got braces in Thailand, got my teeth fixed, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I know a lot about Thailand. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below. But with that being said, bye bye.